Yo guys, what is going on? Insanity coming back at you today with another Division 2 video, and today we're going to be jumping into a quick little recap from State of the Game for July 31st, 2019, and how they made one of the biggest bombshell announcements that many of us have been waiting for quite some time. How many of you remember the Elite Task Force and what it did for the first game back in 1.4? It pretty much completely changed the game. It introduced what world tiers, a brand new loot system, difficulty to the enemies, all kinds of stuff. It was a complete overhaul of the Division One, and I'm not saying that is totally about to happen yet again because the two games differ in many, many, many ways. And this time around, it's time to go ahead and do a brand new ETF for the Division Two. They made the announcement earlier this morning on State of the Game, and there's a lot of discussion on what in the world it should be called. I mean, because technically this would be ETF Delta. Just it's kind of a meme all around, and who really knows if they're really going to stick with that. I kind of hope they do because I think it's hilarious. But Delta's kind of a dirty word here in the division community, so they may or may not decide to keep it. They could always call it ETF Diablo, or just slip right on past it and move on over to Echo, even though that's an error too. So who really knows? The fact that there's so many errors for connections in the division is really making it so trying to name this thing is going to be kind of hard. But that's not really what it's about. You got to think about the status of the Division 2, where things are, where things are headed, and what type of things need to be adjusted and changed. Now, they didn't really go into too many specifics on what this is going to be about. There's no sign up page as of yet. A lot of people are more or less, freaking out over the idea. Oh, great, it's going to be nothing but streamers and content creators and this and that. And of course, they're going to go with people who, play the game a lot. They want to make sure they get some of the dedicated players in there to give their feedback and things like that. But it's not about just those individuals, those high viewer streamers or those big content creators on YouTube. When I was part of ETF Bravo, we had a very diverse amount of players in that group, whether it be from streamers, YouTubers, to forum people, to podcasters, to general players, and to those who are just completely unknown that are just regular players with high hour counts in the game that just played it and loved it for what it was. And hell, I mean, I got selected as a very, very small YouTuber in my opinion, and I was shocked. I didn't have any type of pull compared to some of the other people in the group that I was with, but I was very honored and I was glad to be able to give my feedback. And I feel like my opinion somehow affected the way the Division 2 became about. I mean, hell, the stuff that we were putting in at during Bravo was uplink for what was it? 1.8 or what, I'm sorry, 1.6. We were working on 1.6 back then, and everything that they were saying is it may be now, it may be later. You don't know what you're giving feedback for. And I can't go into specifics on what we did, but all I can say is it was a hell of a learning experience. It's great to see things from the developer's point of view. And not only that, but to give your feedback on what they're working now and what the plans were for the future and how our opinions were helped to try and make the game a much better community experience overall. It wasn't tailored to just one type of player. And that is one of the greatest things about the ETF is they really try to make sure they focus on the community as a whole. They're not just going to take the group of PvPers or the group of PvEers and go, hey, let's make this one of the best experiences for you guys. No, they wanted to try and make it so that it was a blended experience to make sure everyone had a little bit of say. And not only that, it was making it so it was a much better playable experience for all. That is what made the ETF so great for the first game, and that's going to continue in the second game here in the Division 2. And I just can't wait to see what happens and what is used, what type of stuff is put in. Hell, I'm going to go ahead and throw my name in the hat whenever the applications come out yet again. I want to go ahead and try and do this, whether it be at Massive, Redstorm. We have no clue. I mean, they may have said where it was, but I probably missed it if they did. But yeah, I mean, I would love to go ahead and hear your guys' feedback because a lot of the stuff that I was mentioning was stuff that I took directly from my Discord, from my player experience, and of course from, stuff from my YouTube saying, hey, I hate this. I hate this. I want this change. Why is this? And those are the kind of stuff that we were bringing to the developers. It wasn't just what was in our brain, but it was also what was in our community's brains and what their thoughts were and how their play style was compared to ours, and just giving feedback based on that. And I think that's a great way to go into an ETF, open-minded, thinking this, it's not just about you. It's not about how you play, but it's about how this would affect the person next to you, the person in your squad, the person that's playing across the world in their home, and how it could make the game better overall. I mean, loot's one thing, PvP is another. The idea of our current crazy NPCs, how one day they could be extremely crazy and charge you like blah, 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 like they're freaking psycho. But yet at the same time, there's some times where they're just kind of hanging back doing their own thing and they just completely ignore you. AI definitely needs to be improved a little bit on the difficulty. I think possibly maybe altering the weapon damage output on different difficulties. It kind of feels like the higher you go, especially when you get to heroic, some of those guns aren't as punchy as they are on challenging, which seems a little bit more different. I understand that the HP in heroic is meant to be higher and be much more difficult, but at the same time, why are my damage values not equaling out? It kind of makes no sense. I should be doing the same damage, if not more. But then again, that's a discussion for an ETF chat or something straight for the developers in the forums or something like that. This isn't something that I'm throwing out there saying what my issues are. I just wanted to go and let you all know that for all of you out there that found me thanks to the ETF program, this is the type of program that can really change your place in the community of a game. And this really has made me part of the division in a way that I thought I would never be. And it's an experience that I will never forget. Being able to go to Red Storm for a week and really just do nothing besides really dive deep into the division, the status of the game, and where it would go in the future. And this is where we are now. Whether you like it or you hate it or whatever it may be, this is where we are, and it's time for a change yet again. If you're chosen to be part of the ETF, congratulations. I know this is really early and apps aren't out yet, but congrats to you. Welcome to the family, and let's get shit done and let's change things for the better. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much going to go ahead and wrap things up. There's a lot of bug fixes that they're going to be doing. There's going to be a maintenance tomorrow to go ahead and fix a few things. Leaderboards, sound bugs are still a problem. The loading on PC has been fixed and things like that. But more importantly, this was to announce ETF Delta or ETF 4, whatever the heck you want to call it. I'm Insanity. Like if you haven't, sub if you're new. Sign off in the comments the kind of things that you want fixed and changed. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.